Good evening. I would like to call to order the City Council meeting for the City Council for the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado for January 8th, 2024. If you would please stand as you are able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Would the Deputy Mayor please call the roll of the members?
I don't believe that's the title we agreed on, Mayor, but sure.
That's okay.
Okay.
I was.
Let's see. Councilor Snell?
Present.
Councilor Larson?
Here.
Councilor Weaver?
Here.
Councilor Hoppy?
Present.
Councilor Stites, Mayor Pro Tem
Here.
Stites? Councilor Ohm?
Here.
Councilor Dozeman?
Here.
And Mayor, we are waiting for Councilor Holteen to join us.
Thank you. Councilors, in your packet, we have study session notes of December 4, 2023, and City Council meeting minutes of December 11, 2023. Are there any changes or corrections to be noted in the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes stand approved as presented with our thanks to the clerk. We have a couple of presentations today. We have Judge Randall with us tonight. There we are. Judge, please join me at the podium. Thanks for being here. It's really my honor tonight to provide a proclamation to designate January 8th, 2024 as Judge Christopher Randall Day in Wheat Ridge. Whereas Judge Christopher Randall has been a presiding municipal judge for the city of Wheat Ridge from January 2002 until December 31st of 2023. And whereas Judge Randall has served intermittently on the board of directors for the Colorado Municipal Judges Association and from the fall of 2004 until the spring of 2011. And whereas Judge Randall served as secretary on the CMJA, that's the Colorado Municipal Judges Association, from 2011 to 2012, treasurer from 2012 to 2013, vice president from 2013 to 2014, and the president from 2014 to 2015, has served as the nuts and bolts moderator and was a contributing writer to the CMJA bench book. And whereas Judge Christopher Randall has always been available to share his wisdom, knowledge, expertise with newly appointed judges or seasoned veterans. And whereas Judge Randall is valued by members of the CMJA as the voice of reason and who consider him a judge who applies the fundamentals of fairness and equity. And whereas Judge Randall received the Municipal Judge of the Year Award in 2023. Now therefore, I, Bud Starker, Mayor of the City of Wheat Ridge, and the Wheat Ridge City Council, do hereby proclaim January 8th, 2023 as Judge Christopher Randall Day. Your commitment to upholding service, justice, and ensuring the well-being of our community has not gone unnoticed. Your efforts have made a positive impact, and your dedication is truly commendable. Your work as a judge contributes significantly to the strength and fairness of our legal system. We are grateful for the difference you have made in our community, and we appreciate your service to our city. Thank you very much, Judge. It's great to have you here. There's a little token of our thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thanks to Patrick, Council, Mayor for even cooking up doing the proclamation. That's very nice. I want to recognize City Council, especially the most recent City Councils, for their support of court. Thank you. Thank you for respecting, the judiciary, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. I appreciate that independence that you've allowed the court to do what it needs to do. I did want to recognize court staff and really the whole city for weathering a lot of things that were challenging for the city and for the court. First of all, a lot of state legislation over the past 5 to 7 years has impacted municipal courts. That's been a challenge, I know, for us, for the city attorney. Also dealing with COVID, we were one of the few courts, we did have to close, but we were open far more than any of the other municipal courts, on a limited basis and by using audio video, but we were open quite a bit during COVID. And then we had a computer incident here in the city last year that impacted any other divisions that had to use computers, which is all of us, but we weathered through that. We actually, because we couldn't word process, got a typewriter in the basement, an IBM Selectric, and we're drafting forms on that IBM Selectric. A lot of new ordinances have come from city council, I think, in the last 4 years. Street racing, short-term rentals. Gosh, I'm forgetting a lot of the new legislation that's impacted the court. We do abatements in the city, which is somewhat unusual, and I think far seen and progressive on city council's part. But I've enjoyed being here, and I'm going to miss it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to invite Commander Betsy Saylor to join me at the podium. Good evening, Commander. How are you? Good. This is a proclamation in support of National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, which is tomorrow, January 9th, 2024. Whereas in 2015, Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, or Police Appreciation Day, was founded to highlight and support highlight the support and the appreciation of the general public for law enforcement. And whereas, by founding the National Day of Recognition, the founders hope to draw attention to the dedication of law enforcement officers who serve the public and make a difference while doing a job they love. And whereas, National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day was founded to generate awareness of the dangers law enforcement officers face every day on the job, while protecting the communities in which they live and work. And whereas National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day is led by community members as a day to recognize law enforcement professionals as well as the sacrifices made by their families. And whereas not only do professionals in law enforcement serve and protect by putting themselves in danger every day, but they safeguard life and property, provide protection against violence and disorder, and shield the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression and intimidation. Now therefore, I, Bud Starker, and the City Council for the City of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, call upon all those living and working in Wheat Ridge, upon our business community, and those in service, civil and educational organizations to join us in recognizing Law Enforcement Appreciation Day 2024, to honor the service of the men and women of the Wheat Ridge Police Department and all those across the country who serve their communities in law enforcement, dated this 8th day of January 2024. Would you like to say a few words?
So on behalf of the men and women of the Wheat Ridge Police Department, I just want to say thank you. Of course, if you brought them all in here today, they wouldn't say they do it for the recognition. They're just doing a job they love with integrity and professionalism. But it does mean the world to us that we know we have the support of our city leaders, our city council, mayor, and the men and women of the community we serve. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much. now at our public's right to speak. Members of the public may come and speak at this point in the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes under our right to speak. Oh, before that, we've got a couple other things. We've got the approval of the agenda, and I would like to recognize our Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before we go to public comment, I think we have the city manager and a representative from the city and county of Denver to give a presentation.
Thank you. So now we will go to our public's right to speak. Any member of the public may come and speak with the council for a maximum of 3 minutes during this public's right to speak. I have a list of those signed up to speak. I'll go first. And, yep, I'm just going to do a few introductions here. So when I call your name, if you'd please come to the podium, I'll call also the on-deck speaker if you'd be ready to speak, and then we'll do our folks in the hall first, and we have some people joining us online. And before I do, I'd like to recognize our city manager, Mr. Goff.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, there's been a community discussion over the last several weeks concerning the potential sheltering of migrants in Wheat Ridge. I know there's probably several speakers this evening, so I appreciate the time to provide you with an update, and also Adam Paul from the city and county of Denver. I've spoken to you all individually over the last several weeks about this issue, but this is the first city council meeting we've had since December 4th, believe it or not, to provide an update to you and the public. Denver's mayor's office did reach out to the city of Wheat Ridge on October 16th to inform us they were looking into a master lease agreement with the Super 8 motel in Wheat Ridge to potentially shelter migrants. However, at that time, Denver was unsure that they would need the Super 8 for sheltering, as the influx of migrants into Denver was slowing down at that time. Use of a hotel in Wheat Ridge for lodging is a use by right, and the city cannot prohibit this activity. However, we expressed our concerns to Denver about the impact of sheltering a large number of migrants in our small city. We explained the efforts the city has been making over the last several years to reduce calls for service to the police department from the hotels at the I-70 Kipling interchange, and including a new hotel ordinance that the city council passed over the last couple of years, which restricts the length of stays at hotels to 29 days or less. At that time, Denver said they would be back in touch if things changed. Things did change. On December 19th, the Denver mayor's office did reach out again. At that time, Denver had 3,700 migrants in shelters in Denver, and they were receiving 225 new migrants every day on buses. So at that time, they were looking for new sheltering options. At that time, we again expressed our concern about the impact on our community from sheltering a large number of migrants in Wheat Ridge. We asked if they had to move forward with Super 8 in Wheat Ridge for sheltering, they limit the number of migrants to less than 200. We also reiterated the fact that the city has a motel ordinance that limits stays in motels to 29 days or less, and limits the calls for service to the police department to less than 1.5 calls per room per year. We also asked Denver for a good neighbor agreement to manage all the impacts from any potential sheltering on our community. At this time, there are no migrants sheltering at Super 8 or any other location in Wheat Ridge, as far as I know, and Denver is not currently considering the Super 8 motel in Wheat Ridge for migrant sheltering. So that is really the update we have. Again, there are no migrants in Wheat Ridge at this time, and Denver at this point has no intention to using Super 8. But as we mentioned, Adam Paul, who does work for the mayor of Denver, is here this evening, and he would like to also give an update on Denver's behalf.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goff. I'd like to invite Mr. Adam Paul to come to the podium.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, neighbors of Wheat Ridge. Again, my name is Adam Paul, the Director of Regional Affairs for Mayor Mike Johnston in Denver, and I'm glad to have this opportunity on behalf of the mayor. Thank you for allowing us to come this evening. So, as we know, there's a lot of conversation regarding this subject, and I'll give you a quick update. Patrick's numbers were pretty good, but we've continued to see an influx. Arrivals to date, since this started, we're at about 37,000. We're averaging 200 new arrivals every day. Currently in shelters, we have 4,600 folks. 10 facilities are currently in operation, which includes 7 hotels, and we have one that is open in Aurora. We have 2 congregant facilities, Those came online when we took down the encampments at 26th and Zuni last week, and one transitional housing facility here on the west side of Denver, not in Wheat Ridge, but in Denver. Of those that are being housed, 1,900, or nearly 43% of those in shelters, are children under the age of 18. So we've had over 300 charter buses from Texas since June of 2023, and that includes about 144 that have arrived in December alone. Our expenditures for 2023 was around $40 to $45 million. As you can imagine, that'll continue to ramp up. We allow our adults without children 14 days to stay, and this can also change as we are in severe weather sheltering. And then for children and families, at this point, we don't have a date certain to evict. However, we're looking at changing some of that as our numbers continue to grow into February. So what are we doing? We continue to advocate to our federal folks. We encourage all of our neighbors to do the same. We really do need some action. There is some talk that there might be action this week. But what we are looking for is certainly more funding. We're looking for expedited work permits for our new arrivals to be able to come in and be able to work legally, and to coordinate folks, so coordination system, so things just don't come to certain cities and continue to grow. As mentioned, we operate with a vendor throughout the metro area. That vendor does have a location in this community, and that's why we wanted to reach out and have these conversations. It's not an easy conversation, so I thank the city manager, the police chief, our Jefferson County commissioners, and certainly the mayor and council to have this. But what we look at trying to do is stand up in anticipation of what could happen, and that's why we had this beginning conversation. We've been in Adams County. When we were in Adams County, our goal is always to decompress as soon as our numbers go down and move everything back to the core of the city of Denver. And so that's happening actually in Aurora. We have a little bit of hiccup with the cold weather. We also recognize that in our neighboring communities, a lot of these motels are used for cold weather sheltering for our unhoused. We're very sensitive to that. And in those conversations, we want to make sure that whether it's Aurora or when we were talking to Wheat Ridge, that we weren't taking away your ability to also deal with your unhoused. So at this time, there is no plan to open up or stand up this shelter in Wheat Ridge. We don't have the resources, and we certainly are going to continue to look at other avenues moving forward, but it is a conversation that we've had to have. And if I could just press one thing upon the community, I think that this begs your involvement to really reach out to your federal representatives, to encourage them to engage, to have these conversations, to help in this situation. So for those that want to help, you can go to denvergov.org/migrant support is a good homepage. And then if you have any questions for the city and county of Denver or for myself, I can be found at adam.paul, P-A-U-L, at denvergov.org. And with that, I want to thank you for your time. And I think Judge Randall has left, but certainly want to thank him for his service. He's been very well respected throughout the metro area, so certainly would like to congratulate him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. We appreciate you coming. Okay, so we're going to go to our public comment, and we have some little lights on the podium. I think the green light starts blinking when we have 30 seconds left. The yellow light starts blinking when about 15 seconds is left, and when the red light goes on, your time is up. And if you would please close your remarks. So, thank you very much. I want to remind everyone that we're in a civil forum. There's really no reason for applause or cheers. No reason for jeers or boos, so I hope everyone will pay attention. We've got some great folks coming up to talk. And our first speaker is Mark Garcia, and he indicates that he lives in Wheat Ridge. And Candace Tomlinson is on deck.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Nice segue from my topic. My name is Mark Garcia, Wheat Ridge resident for 23 years and a recent retirement from Denver Police Department after 33 years of service. My last 10 months of DPD, I was assigned to the migrant shelter at 2601 Zuni Street, working 8-hour shifts, responsibility of enforcing city laws and providing visible presence. Throughout this period, my experience offered a boots-on-the-ground perspective. I don't have any stats I can give you. Our team consisted of 2 officers 24/7. We handled numerous daily calls, collaborating with Denver Fire and Denver paramedics. Excuse me. The nature of our calls were predominantly revolved around domestic violence, disturbances, and theft. Additionally, we often encountered issues such as prostitution, human trafficking, and observed daily instances of drug deals. While I encountered several families seeking a better life utilizing the shelter as a stepping stone, a significant portion of the migrants opted to linger in the lobby on their smartphones. In my assessment, the influx of non-vetted migrants has strained Denver's resources significantly. I believe this situation would pose an even greater burden on Wheat Ridge resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Candace Tomlinson and Greg Veeder on deck.
Hi, excuse me, my name is Candace Tomlinson. I live at 8600 West 41st Avenue in Wheat Ridge. So that's the corner of 41st and Dover. My comments are concerning traffic, specifically on Dover between 38th and 41st. Dover is unsafe for pedestrians between 38th and 41st. No sidewalks, curbs, or gutters, no pedestrian zone. We have no choice but to walk in the street. Cars and trucks right next to you going 25 miles an hour. Not a comfortable or secure feeling, and even more so when you're walking a pet, pushing a stroller, or riding a bike. The intersection at 41st and Dover is not safe because many drivers do not stop or do not completely stop at the four-way stop. There's a lot of activity at this intersection and a lot of pedestrians. Safety concerns and non-compliance with the four-way stop have been an issue for many years. But now both have reached the tipping point due to increased in volume traffic, mostly due to cut-through non-neighborhood traffic. Dover, this has been an issue on Dover for quite a while. Dover was the first street in Wheat Ridge to get speed humps back in the mid-1990s, I believe. These speed bumps are in need of upgrade and maintenance, and in fact, 2 speed bumps have been removed over the years without any notice or explanation from the city. I believe it's time for the city to readdress and re-engage with the transportation and pedestrian concerns on Dover. Residents have a right to safety on their neighborhood streets, as well as out on 38th or 44th or Wadsworth. Well, I believe many streets in Bel Air neighborhood, which encompasses both District 2 and 4, have been impacted by the increased traffic volume and are unsafe. I'm specifically addressing Dover between 38th and 44th because I believe Dover is the worst case. For some of you who may not know, Dover is only one of 2 through streets between Wadsworth and Youngfield. The other one is Carr, just 2 blocks away. So if there's any cut-through traffic, it's all concentrated on Dover and Carr. Dover was never designed to handle the traffic level that it now receives. Driving patterns as well as traffic volumes have completely changed in the last several years, and Dover and Carr are now viewed as permanent cut-through streets. This is a long-term issue. There's more construction going on 44th and 38th, and we're going to be impacted by all of it. It's time for the city to address its neighborhood traffic issues in a meaningful way. So residents on Dover deserve the city's attention and assistance. We're asking for 2 specific issues to be addressed. The cut-through traffic must be discouraged, and pedestrian safety needs to be implemented. We're requesting a meeting with responsible city officials, such as city manager, public works, engineering, and appropriate city council representatives as soon as possible to so we can further explain our issues and concerns and discuss and plan a path forward. Thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to our meeting.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Greg Veeder, who lives in Wheat Ridge, and Morgan Richards is on deck.
Thank you. Good evening. Some of these questions have already been addressed. I've been asked to speak or pose 2 other people's questions. Since we're going to be dealing with homeless and illegal immigrants problems for a long time, what is the Good Neighbor Agreement, and who is talking to Denver? Also, what was the city's plan for illegal immigrants when they are going to be released into Wheat Ridge? Along with this, what monetary resources will be used, and for how many and how long? Another person asked me to say, please ban any transport of illegal immigrants through Wheat Ridge, like what's happening in the Chicago suburbs. And finally, I personally want to offer, I have over 30 years' experience housing very difficult populations. I would like to participate with those making those decisions in this area. Thank you very much. I'd like to be helpful.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Morgan Richards, who lives in Wheat Ridge, and Jeff Richards is on deck.
Good evening, City Council and fellow neighbors. I'm Morgan Richards. I live at 3255 Ames Street. I'm a local small business owner, have lived in Wheat Ridge for 24 years, and I'm the founder of Wheat Ridge for Equity. No human is illegal. We cannot stand silent when anyone in our community is attempting to protect democracy by dehumanizing people of color, people who are immigrants fleeing terror and genocide in their own countries. Because after all, I see a room of most of us who come from immigrants. People who are unhoused, trying to survive on our streets, and people who are queer are differently abled and or embrace a spiritual faith other than Christianity. That is what happened on January 3rd at our rec center. The so-called town hall included chants of build the wall, and people who are unhoused and are seeking safety in our country were called criminals and illegals. I'm also concerned that the deceptive tactics used to advertise the meeting made it look like a city-organized event. A spouse of a Wheat Ridge Business Association board member was one of the two organizers of the meeting, and this effort is quickly spreading throughout Jeffco. I am sympathetic that our neighbors that are involved in these actions feel disenfranchised by our changing world and local community. It is imperative that we continue the work to make Wheat Ridge a more inclusive community that is open to all and safe to all. My ask of council tonight, please consider expanding your accessibility to support more community building. Consider offering regular set office hours in a safe space. Have quarterly or at least twice a year town hall meetings. People who feel that they are being left out need more connection and they need to be heard. Could you please research the limits of free speech at our rec center? As a former journalist, I believe in free speech. I also think that there are limits to consequences for hate speech. I do not want our rec center to be known as a place people gather to dehumanize other members of our community. It won't feel safe to go there. Third, I ask you to stay the course. We've started the long, slow work of reconciling our city's racist origin, which was to bar any students of color being bused into our local schools. Thank you, council members. Stay safe, stay well. And if anybody would like, I brought extra open to all stickers. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jeff Richards, who resides in Wheat Ridge, and Kim Calamino is on deck.
Hello, my name is Jeff Richards. I too live at 3255 Ames Street here in Wheat Ridge. We've been here for over 20 years. I wanted to say thank you to the mayor and the city council and to the administration for allowing us to air our views tonight. I wanted to start by talking about a meeting that occurred in November, I believe it was on the 13th, where a group of people called in under the guise of being citizens of Wheat Ridge. To me, when I listened to that meeting, the addresses that they gave and the names they gave, clearly to me there was some fallacy going on there. And not only is that disingenuous, it's very dangerous for us in this city. I think just because there are outside influences trying to exert some power here in Wheat Ridge, I don't think that we need that. I don't think that we need that at all. And it relates to this idea of the emergency meeting that was at the rec center the other week. I think they both stem from the fact that a lot of people are panicking and feeling kind of like they don't have their feet underneath them. And I want to assure them and the rest of the community that, first of all, regarding that first meeting, Wheat Ridge is not an anti-Semitic, racist community. We have a history that's problematic, but the people that I know in Wheat Ridge don't feel that way. They don't want to exclude people who are Jewish. They don't want to come down on people who are Jewish. are not anti-Semitic. They don't believe that there's some cabal working in the background to control the country. And I don't believe that myself, and my neighbors don't believe that. So if you're listening to this meeting or you have neighbors who are worried about that, I hope that you can be somewhat assured by what I'm saying and the neighbors that you have. I just don't see that it exists. To me, that was a moment of complete disassociation. It just doesn't fit our city and the people that I know. Secondly, regarding this emergency meeting, I wanted to say that there was an issue of homelessness. I don't know about a lot of the rest of the stuff. I appreciate the things that Patrick and gentlemen from the city of Denver brought forward in terms of informational actual statistics. But I do know this part. Our city's done a great job with homelessness. And they did it by getting together, coming up with a plan, working with the police, the administration here, working with and getting a homeless navigator and getting people the support that they needed. And I think that that's what our city needs to continue to do with all of these issues. We need to work together and be rational about it. And if we do that, we're going to be successful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kim Calamino, who resides in Wheat Ridge, and Diana Lopez is on deck.
Thank you, Mayor Starker, council members. Kim Calamino, 4070 Dover Street, Calomino. I appreciate the comments of the speakers before me. I'm here tonight first to thank you, now almost 3.5 years later, for passing resolution number 35, condemning racism and hate. In part, this resolution speaks to our efforts to be a city where all people can feel safe, regardless of skin color, language, country of origin, religion, and more. Part of how people are made to feel safe is how we use language, whether publicly or in social media, about each other, directed at each other, bickering among ourselves. There have been incidents and issues recently where ugly and disparaging language has been used and directed at people or projects. This disappointed me greatly in our community and certain members of our community. I call upon us all to exhibit compassion and human decency and respect to those in need, regardless of who they are or how they came to be in need. And to remind us all that there are opportunities to help both our resident homeless and the migrant population, if you are able. Donations can be made to support Wheat Ridge's Homeless Navigator through the Wheat Ridge Community Foundation. And thanks to Mr. Paul, we know that we can support the migrant community at denvergov.org/migrants. And I encourage those of us who can to please do so. And please, let's exhibit compassion. We have the capacity. We owe it to each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Diana Lopez, who is a resident of Wheat Ridge.
Good evening. Yes, I am a longtime resident in Wheat Ridge, and I would just like to start by congratulating my committee friend on her election for the city council, Jenny Schnell. So congratulations, Jenny. You'll do a great job in your area. I'm here tonight because it's my understanding that a town hall did take place last Wednesday at the Wheat Ridge Rec Center. Disinformation and dehumanizing language were used to say that migrants who are criminals would be bused to Wheat Ridge. At one point, it's my understanding also that some of the people attending the meeting did start chanting, "Build the wall." It's that kind of rhetoric that resulted in what happened and what is happening with our past president. And it scares the bejesus out of me. I refuse to believe that those at the event represent the majority of residents in Wheat Ridge. We are better than that. We've worked way too hard in the last few years, and we're not going backwards. I, for one, value the work that has been done in this community, and will continue to be done to ensure that Wheat Ridge is safe, that it's inviting, and that it's an inclusive city that we can be proud of. And that I am proud that we are on our way to that happening. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all of the speakers I have signed up in City Council chambers to speak tonight. We have a number of people who are joining us online, and I would like to invite them to unmute when I call their name, and please introduce yourself and give us your address. And our first speaker online is Julie Stern, and Denny Steelbeck is online, on deck. So Julie Stern, if you'd please join us. The call once again for Julie Stern.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much. My name is Julie Stern. I live at 7630 West 48th Avenue. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I am speaking on this topic of immigrants and refugees in our community. I'm proud to be, well, I want to be proud to be part of a community that is open and welcoming to new neighbors. And I am, like many of the other speakers here tonight, ashamed and horrified at the rhetoric that is taking place in our community. As a person of Jewish heritage, I will never forget how easy it can be for any kind of family to find their life suddenly upended, no longer safe in their own community, no matter how deep their roots are, what their status in their community is, in need of a welcoming haven. The circumstances of many of the families who are now seeking refuge in our community are stories I would never wish on any fellow human. The least we can do as a community is to let them know they're welcome and safe here. And this is not Denver's problem for Denver to solve. We are part of a region. We are all part of one community. And our community, I wish for our community to be part of the solution for these fellow humans who are finding themselves under these circumstances. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Danny Seebeck and Trina Thurman on deck.
Mr. Seebeck, if you could just unmute, you should be able to speak.
Hello?
Yes, is this Danny Seebeck?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Mr. Seebeck, if you could just unmute, you should be able to speak.
Unmute.
Mr. Seebeck, please continue.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, is this Danny Seebeck?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Mr. Seebeck, if you could just unmute, you should be able to speak.
Yeah, I am unmuted.
Mr. Seebeck, please continue.
Hello? Hello?
Is this Danny Seebeck?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay.
Mr. Seebeck, if you could just unmute, you should be able to speak.
Yeah, I am unmuted.
Mr. Seebeck, please continue.
Okay.
Mayor, let's move on and then we'll come back to Mr. Seebeck. Yes, it's likely on his end.
Mr. Seebeck, we'll return to you in a moment when we've addressed these technical difficulties. Our next speaker is Trina Thurman, and Cindy Smith is on deck.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Thurman seems to have dropped off the Zoom, but we do have Cindy Smith, so I'll unmute her now.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, this is Cindy Smith. This is you're live.
Yes, I'm a Wheat Ridge resident at 44th and Garland, looking for solutions for the migrant problem. I'm wondering why Boulder hasn't spoken up and accepted some of the migrants coming here. I know that Wheat Ridge has made a concerted effort to feed, house, address mental and physical needs to the unhoused and to decrease that population. I really feel that we will be exacerbating our local resources at my expense and every other Wheat Ridge taxpayer without really checking with them. Thank you.
Thank you. My next speaker on the list is Ellen Seebeck. If you're able to unmute, you may join us in the meeting.
Mr. Mayor, the only person we have left now is Mr. Denny Seebeck.
Okay, Mr. Denny Seebeck, if you're available to hear me and can join us, unmute, you may speak to council. Hear me and can join us, unmute.
Okay.
You may speak to council.
Okay. Yes, my concern is about the migrants coming into Wheat Ridge. I am a Wheat.
Hear me and can join us, unmute.
Mr. Seebeck,
Okay.
if you could
You may
mute
join. speak
any
to
other
council.
devices
Okay.
in your home, that would be helpful.
Yes. Yes, my concern is about the migrants coming into Wheat Ridge. I am a Wheat.
Hear me and can join us, unmute.
Mr. Seebeck,
Okay.
if you could mute any other devices in your home, that would be helpful.
Yes. Yes, my concern is about the migrants coming into Wheat Ridge. I am a Wheat.
Mr. Seebeck, if you could mute
I am.
any other devices in your home, that would be helpful.
Yes. Yes, my concern.
Mayor, Mr. Seebeck seems to have muted himself. So maybe we just give him a second if he could, put your TV on mute or your laptop on mute. And that would
Mr.
be
Stebeck, this is Mayor Starker again. We're getting a feedback from audio from your residents or wherever you're speaking from. If you would please mute any other devices, your television or other laptops or media that you have, and just speak with one speaker on. We'll see if we can get you online. He's muted. Okay. Mr. Seebeck, one more time, if you were able to unmute yourself at the device that you're speaking into, but have no other devices unmuted, then we should be able to hear you. Let me know if you're able to follow those instructions. Mr. Seebeck, one more time, if you were able to unmute yourself at the device that you're speaking into, but have no other device. Okay, unfortunately, Mr. Seebeck, we're going to have to terminate our conversation with you. We will. This is part of the learning curve on being virtual. So, anyway, that concludes all of the speakers that I have signed up for Public's Right to Speak tonight. So we're going to move forward in our agenda, and that would be agenda item number 1. Councilor Dozeman, would you please introduce this item?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Consent agenda item 1A, motion to approve the purchase of a truck with a chipper dump body from Altech Industries Incorporated and a total amount not to exceed $107,700. Consent agenda item 1B, a motion to approve payment to Colorado Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency for the 2024 property casualty premium in the amount of $529,539.55. 1C, motion to approve monthly payments to Colorado Employer Benefit Trust for 2024 medical, dental, employee assistance program, and life insurance membership billing in an amount not to exceed $2,485,412. And 1D, resolution number 01-2024, a resolution approving an amendment to the right-of-way maintenance services contract with TerraCare Associates, LLC.
Thank you very much. This is our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve consent agenda item number 1A through 1D?
I move to approve consent agenda item 1A through 1D.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Hoppe. Would the clerk please poll the council?
The motion carries unanimously with Councilor Hulteen's hand raised.
Okay, thank you very much. We will now go to agenda item number 2. Mayor Pro Tem Stites, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council Bill number 33-2023, an ordinance amending section 11-52.5 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning membership of the Wheat Ridge Liquor Licensing Authority. At issue, City Council amended the city's boards and commissions code to create new regulations pertaining to term limits, unexcused absences, automatic removal, approximately equal district representation of board members, and council's ability to remove members, among other things. While certain provisions extend to the Liquor Licensing Authority, LLA, amendments concerning term limits, district representation, and council's removal authority do not apply to the LLA. This ordinance will amend the code to extend these provisions to the boards and commissions code amendments to the Liquor Licensing Authority. Furthermore, it would establish that the LLA members who move out of district they were appointed in to represent shall be removed in accordance with the process governing boards and commissions members.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on second reading. It is a public hearing. It is not quasi-judicial. I'm going to open the public hearing. And Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation on this item?
Maybe briefly, Marianne Schilling may have a few things to add.
Yep, just a couple things. This is mostly a housekeeping item. As we mentioned in the issue statement, we passed boards and commissions regulations in October. We realized that because the liquor license is governed by a very specific piece of the municipal code, it wasn't necessarily included in that section. So we are adding this ordinance to make those amendments to include that along with the amendments that we had made previously in October. Additionally, in the first reading, I do want to mention that we realized that we didn't address the when a member moves out of district component in the ordinance, but that has now been included, so we should be fully up to date and included everything in line for the boards and commissions code amendments. So if council wants to move forward with this, then we'll amend the bylaws of the Liquor Licensing Authority to comply with the new code, and then we'd be back to City Council by late February to approve all the bylaws and the code of ethics. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Before we go to questions from council, I will stipulate that we invited the public to speak on this. No one has signed up to speak, so I will see if there are any questions from council of staff at this time before I close the public hearing and ask for a vote. I'm going to close the public hearing, and Mayor Pro Tem Stites, may I have a motion on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Council Bill number 33-2023, an ordinance amending section 11-52.5 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning membership of the Wheat Ridge Liquor Licensing Authority on second reading, order it published, and then it take effect on March 1st, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Ohm. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
And Mr. Mayor, the motion carries unanimously with Councilor Hulteen's hand raised.
Thank you very much. With that, we will go to agenda item number 3. Councilor Weaver, would you please introduce this item?
I'd be happy to, Mayor. Thank you. This is Council Bill number 30, 2023, an ordinance amending Section 2-33 of the Wheat Ridge Code of Laws concerning community service officer code enforcement powers. Would you like me to read that issue?
Okay. If you would read the issue statement.
Am I reading the wrong thing?
Well, this is council bill approving the rezoning of a property.
Oh, this is an old packet. Okay. Well, okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Well,
this is
start
Council Bill.
again. Please introduce agenda item number 3.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Council Bill number 01-2024, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 10390 West 38th Avenue from Commercial 1, C1 to Mixed Use Neighborhood, MUN, case number WZ-23-10. At issue, the owner of the property at 10390 West 38th Avenue is requesting approval of a zone change from Commercial 1 to Mixed Use Neighborhood. The zone change will result in a zoning designation that will allow for the redevelopment and revitalization of the property.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on first reading to set the date, time, and location for a public hearing. This case is a quasi-judicial. Would the clerk please poll the council?
Need a motion?
Oh, I need a,
Oh, I guess we'll take a motion.
Thanks.
Give me a motion.
well, I did mess it up at the beginning. So I move to approve Council Bill number 01-2024, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at 10390 West 38th Avenue from Commercial 1 to mixed-use neighborhood on first reading, order it published, public hearing set for Monday, February 12th, 2024 at 6:30 PM as a virtual meeting and in city council chambers, and that it take effect 15 days after final publication.
Second.
Pardon me, we have a motion and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Stites. Would the clerk please poll the council?
Mr. Mayor, the motion carries unanimously with Council Holtein's hand raised.
Thank you very much. With that, we will go to agenda item number 4. Councilor Larson, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Council Bill number 02-2024, an ordinance vacating any interest held by the city in a portion of West 46th Avenue between Everett and Estes Streets. This is an ordinance on first reading. The issue of the city of Wheat Ridge holds right-of-way in trust for the public. A portion of right-of-way along the south side of 46th Avenue, located between Everett Street and Estes Street, has been deemed to be unnecessary by the Community Development Department.
Thank you. This is an ordinance on first reading to set the date, time, and location for a public hearing. It is not quasi-judicial. Councilor Larson, may I have a motion on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Council Bill number 01-2024, an ordinance approving the rezoning of property located at, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. There we go. Sorry, I had the wrong one.
There you go.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. Apologies for that. I move to approve Council Bill number 02-2024, an ordinance vacating any interest held by the city in a portion of West 46th Avenue between Everett and Estes Streets on first reading. Ordered published, public hearing set for Monday, February 12, 2024 at 6:30 PM as a virtual meeting and in city council chambers, and that it takes effect immediately after final publication.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Dozeman. Would the clerk please poll the council?
And Mr. Mayor, that motion carries unanimously with Councilor Holtein's hand raised.
Thank you very much. We will now go to agenda item number 5. Councilor Snell, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is resolution number 02-2024, a resolution designating the municipal building main entrance display cabinet as the official public notice posting location and the city's official internet webpage for city publications in 2024. At issue, the state statutes require that each municipality annually establish the location for posting public notices, as well as the newspaper in which the notices will be published. Local government entities are also allowed to publish notices online for public meetings. These include meetings at which the adoption of any proposed policy, position, resolution, rule, regulation, or formal action occurs, or at which a majority or quorum of body is in attendance.
Thank you. This will be a resolution of the council. Mr. Goff, do we have any further presentation on this item?
We don't. We're here for questions.
Thank you very much. I have no members of the public signed up to speak. Are there any questions from council on this item before we go to a vote? Councilor Snell, may I have a motion on this item?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 02-2024, a resolution designating the municipal building main entrance display cabinet as the official public notice posting location and the city's official internet webpage as the official site for publishing all legislative actions and public notices in 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Stites. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
And Mr. Mayor, this motion carries unanimously with Councilor Holtein's hand raised.
Thank you very much. We will go to agenda item number 6. Councilor Hoppy, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 032024, resolution levying general property taxes for the year 2023 to help defray the costs of government for the city of Wheat Ridge, Colorado for the 2024 budget year. At issue, the resolution authorizes the levying of property taxes for the 2023 fiscal year to help defray the cost of government in 2024.
This will be a resolution of the council. Mr. Goff, do we have any staff presentation on this?
Yeah, our Deputy City Manager has a brief update on this.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Goff. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, you are accustomed to seeing the levy certification on the night that we adopt the budget. Usually, we ask you to adopt your new budget, and then we ask you to certify the mill levy based on the property taxes from last year for the future budget year. The city manager prudently suggested that we hold off on October 9th when you adopted the budget because we knew, if you recall, that Proposition HH was on the ballot in November, and there was talk that should that fail, there could be some sort of a special session, and we really wanted to be able to come back and inform you the extent to which the city might be overestimating property tax. So we waited for that special session to take place. The new deadline for us to certify the mill levy is actually now this Wednesday. It was December 15th, but again, we knew that they were going to extend that with these changes. So that's why you're seeing it tonight. And Councilor Larson, it's very unusual, and Councilor Snell, it's unusual for councilors who adopted the budget to not also be adopting the mill levy. So thanks for your patience with us on this one. I included a good recap of the special session. I hope it was a good recap in your memo. But just to say that, there were 2 legislative changes that occurred that sort of reduce residential property tax for Colorado residents. And again, I won't necessarily go into the details of that. It's all spelled out in the packet. However, the one thing there's 2 points I want to make. The first is that we are only at this point showing a budgetary deficit of about $26,000 from what we estimated in the 2024 budget for property tax. And this was all prior to the special session. So we're not too concerned about that. And the second point that I want to make is that the amount that we are certifying tonight, the estimated revenue from the mill levy certification, does not include the potential for backfill. And these backfills are created as a result of the 2 Senate bills that were passed, but we won't know, and our county treasurer won't be ready to give us that information until April. So the worst case scenario is that we project that we'll be about $25,000 to $26,000 under what we projected next year, which again that's pretty darn close given the legislative changes. But it's possible that we will receive backfill from lost property tax revenue. So we'll come back to you in April when we hear from the county treasurer as to what that might look like. So with that, tonight what you're doing is actually certifying the mills, which haven't changed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have no one from the public signed up to speak on this, so I will go to questions from council. Are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, Councilor Hoppy, may I have a motion on agenda item number 6?
I have a question. Sorry.
So sorry, Rachel.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Councilor Hulteen.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So I have a question. One of the things I've been tracking is the proposed taxing our short-term rentals at commercial property rates. And I'm just wondering like how that's been accounted for in this.
Thank you, Councilor Hulteen, for that question. It hasn't been accounted for to the extent that the short-term rentals are taxed as residential properties.
Okay. Well, I'm going to register here. I think in Wheat Ridge, we're doing really great work in terms of working with our short-term rentals. We've regulated them well. And if the legislature were to decide to start taxing them at commercial tax rates, it might look good on paper, but I think it would be really counter-indicating the kind of things we're trying to do around our short-term rental taxes in our cities. So I'm just kind of registering here. That's something I'm watching at the state legislature because in Wheat Ridge, we're doing good things. And I think if we were to be transitioning to short-term rentals being taxed at a commercial taxing rate, it would be actually, I think, work against some of the policy priorities that we have as a city. So thanks for your clarification, Ms. Scheck, and that's my only question.
Thank you, Councilor Hulteen. Any further discussion, any further questions? Okay. Councilor Hoppy, a motion on agenda item number 6, please.
I move to approve resolution number 03-2024, a resolution levying general property taxes for the year of 2023 to help defray the cost of government for the city of Wheat Ridge, Colorado for the 2024 budget year.
Second.
A motion and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Stites. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Hoppy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to remind our members of Wheat Ridge that, our property tax mill is only 1.830, which is about $25 to $30 a house that goes towards our budget. No, 50 or 60. It's pretty small, less than $100. And the majority of the tax revenue that we get is through sales tax revenue, and the majority of our sales tax revenue is paid through people who are going through Wheat Ridge, not necessarily our Wheat Ridge citizens. So, thankfully, with our sales tax revenue, we're able to offer several things in our community, but it's not necessarily our property tax.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
And Mr. Mayor, this motion carries unanimously with Councilor Hulteen's hand raised.
Okay, thank you very much. We will, that brings us to agenda item number 7. Councilor Ohm, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to award a contract and approve subsequent payments of $100,000 to Progressive Urban Management Associates for the Economic Development Strategic Plan. At issue, the current Economic Development Strategic Plan for the city is 12 years old. A request for proposals was issued to solicit qualified firms to develop a new comprehensive economic development strategic plan. 12 proposals were received and accepted as complete. City staff has evaluated the bids, and Progressive Urban Management Associates was selected as the most responsible and responsive bidder in the amount of $100,000.
Thank you. This will be a motion of the council. It is not quasi-judicial. Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation on this item?
Just real briefly, this is a priority from City Council, and as Councilmember Ohm mentioned, that our current plan is several years old, so it's really time to update it. A lot of things have changed in Wheat Ridge, exciting things. So we're excited about looking at this. There will be a community process that we'll bring back to council here in the near future once we do our kickoff with Puma. But if you have any questions, Steve Art, our Economic Development Manager, is behind me. But otherwise, just looking forward to your vote.
Okay. I have no one from the, no members of the public who have signed up to speak on this item. So I will go to questions from council. Are there any questions from council for our city manager or manager Art? Okay. Seeing none, may I have a motion on this item?
Thank you,
Councilor
Mayor.
Ohm.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to award a contract and approve subsequent payments of $100,000 to Puma for the Economic Development Strategic Plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilor Hoppy. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please? Oh, wait a minute. I can't. Okay, Councilor Hulteen.
Thank you. Sorry, being online is distinctly a disadvantage. So I want to share, I'm excited to be voting in support of this. Wheat Ridge, in my tenure here in the city, I think has done really great things in terms of attracting investment into the city. And I think we all recognize we're at a moment in time in which both like the national economic situation and how that translates to us locally is in transition. And if there's one thing in this world that I have tremendous faith in, it's Wheat Ridge's ability to recognize the moment and be nimble and adapt. So I think being able to take a look at what is our economic development strategic plan and revise that to meet the moment, I think really leverages what makes Wheat Ridge such a tremendous place. And historically have done, I think, an outsized job of attracting national investments into our relatively small municipality. And we are at a point in time too where how do we really attract like step ups, step downs, innovative ideas coming into our city? And we're uniquely positioned in the Denver metropolitan area to be a great place for people to bring their good ideas and figure out how to make them work in Wheat Ridge. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we do today moving forward with our economic development strategic plan. And I think it's going to be one of the things that makes 2024 great. So I'm excited to be voting an enthusiastic long distance yes on this particular item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Hulteen. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council?
And Councilor Weaver? Thank you, Councilor Weaver. Mr. Mayor, the motion carries unanimously with Councilor Hulteen's hand raised.
Thank you very much. That brings us to agenda item number 8. Councilor Hulteen, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce resolution number 04-2024, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement among City of Wheat Ridge and Longs Peak Metro District regarding Prospect Trail improvements at Clear Creek Crossing. At issue, the Longs Peak Metropolitan District, LPMD, will be constructing a trail connection along the west side of Clear Creek Crossing with city funding. This intergovernmental agreement, IGA, outlines the responsibilities of the City of Wheat Ridge and LPMD as it pertains to funding and timing of the trail construction.
Thank you. This will be a resolution of the council. It is not quasi-judicial. Mr. Goff, do we have a staff presentation on this?
We do a brief one. Lauren Mikulak, our Community Development Director.
Thank you.
Director
Just
Mikulak.
briefly, a little more context maybe. The IGA before you tonight is only between the city and Longs Peak Metro District, but this trail project is a part of a larger, this trail segment is part of a larger project, and this project is a part of a larger partnership. Some of you may recall that the Prospect Park Recreation District, when they took over Applewood Golf Course, committed to building a trail to connect 32nd Avenue to the Greenbelt along the east side of the golf course and the west side of Clear Creek Crossing. That was in the works, but vague at the time that the Clear Creek Crossing zoning was completed in 2018. So we made a sort of passing commitment to that trail segment, excuse me, in Clear Creek Crossing at that time. Since then, Jefferson County Open Space has funded most of the trail. The city is participating with a portion of the URA Fund 40 bond funds, about $150,000. It's really a regional trail effort, including at least 5 or 6 different partners. The purpose of the IGA before you tonight is to commit the bond funds and to obligate Longs Peak Metro District to construct the trail segment that's on the private property within the Clear Creek Crossing project. If everything comes together as planned and as it's going so far, the entire trail segment from 32nd to the Greenbelt will be open in the spring or summer. Mr. Dahl was helpful in leading the charge in the actual agreement, so he and I are both here for questions you might have.
Thank you very much. I have no members of the public who have signed up to speak on this, so I'll go and see if there are any questions of council, of staff on this item. And I have only one. When do you think we'll be riding our bikes on this trail?
We hope by summer. I think that the segment on Clear Creek Crossing is probably going to be approved by February. It's not a great time to build a trail. We're hoping it's spring, but more realistically, I think with some of the challenges that the rec district has been having, it's likely summer, but this year.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you very much. If there are no more questions, Councilor Hulteen, may I have a motion on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve resolution number 04-2024, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement among City of Wheat Ridge and Long Peaks Metro District regarding Prospect Trail improvements at Clear Creek Crossing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Seeing none, will the clerk please poll the council? Did you vote no?
The motion,
Would you mind
Let's
resetting
should we
the,
redo
I
that?
pushed the
Okay,
wrong
very
button.
good.
I'm very sorry.
All right, everybody, please recast your vote.
okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, everybody recast your vote.
Thank you all. Mr. Mayor, that motion does carry unanimously with Councilor Hulteen's hand raised.
Okay, thank you very much. That completes our agenda items tonight. We will go now to staff. City Managers Matters, Mr. Goff.
It's been a while, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, Happy New Year,
Well,
everybody.
you know, we've Been
Great
gone for a while.
New Year coming. Yeah, we're going to be off next Monday. Martin Luther King. We'll be celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So, but a lot of great things happen in Wheat Ridge, if you haven't noticed. We have a lot of new restaurants coming in out at the Gold's Market. We were out there the other night, and they are coming soon, very soon, in the next few months. Lifetime Fitness should be open in February, I heard. You can sign up now if you want to get on their list. We have a couple new restaurants coming in on 38th Avenue, so a lot of cool, fun things. New hotel going up at Clear Creek Crossing. So I'm looking forward to a great and productive year in Wheat Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. City Attorney's Matters, Mr. Dahl.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now go to Elected Officials Matters. We're going to start with our clerk, who's joining us online. Any words tonight? Clerk Kirkpatrick. You're on mute now. You're on mute now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone. I have nothing further, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. While we're looking at our screens, I'll invite Councilor Hulteen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am saying hello to everybody from Washington, D.C., where I am here at the Transportation Research Board annual meeting, and I was at a small reception tonight, and somebody came running up to me and was like, "Oh, you're with the city of Wheat Ridge, and you guys just got a grant for Safe Routes to Parks." And it was one of the grant reviewers who was really excited about our city's commitment to make sure that we are prioritizing how people can get to our parks without relying on a car. So we are making waves in Washington. I've got a couple things I want to speak to. One, I was myself, along with Councilmember Dozman, we were in the room, I don't know, about 10 days ago when there was the citizen meeting called in response to the concerns around the city of Denver placing migrants at our one of our motels. And I think, as an elected official, it's really important to be in the room to understand, what are the perspectives and concerns of our community members. And a couple of takeaways I just want to share in case people were picking up threads on social media but may not have been in the room. I would say actually the majority of people in the room were not citizens and residents of Wheat Ridge. They were, it was more of a regional dialogue. And when I left the room, one of the two things really stood out to me. One is there was a lot of conjecture and oh, this might happen and what might happen if that happens. And I walked out of that room with just a really solid confidence that one of the things this city does incredibly well, it makes me very proud to be an elected official representing the city, is that we respond thoughtfully and effectively to the real issues that we face in this community. And the people in the room were throwing out a lot of what ifs and conjectures that were based off of, their understanding of what happens in other communities. But everyone I've talked to who works with Wheat Ridge or within Wheat Ridge to address the real issues we have here, everyone without exception, recognized that Wheat Ridge does a really good job of stepping into the moment and addressing real problems that we have here. So it's with that I just want to express my confidence in both this elected body as well as our staff in being responsive to real issues, and that I really feel like one of the best uses of government resources is not to respond to conjecture, but rather to step into the moment to the things that we know are affecting our community. And the other thing I'm really proud of is we lead with a human first prioritization. And one of the thought leaders I really follow, she asked this question: how can our city become a home to thriving people in a thriving place while respecting the well-being of all people and the health of the whole planet? And that is absolutely what I anchor both my civic leadership as well as my professional development in. And I just want to recognize, I think Wheat Ridge really leads the metropolitan area responding in that effect. So I'm proud of our city, and I know that when real issues hit our community, we will respond with a human first, comprehensive way of trying to address the issues. So I want to thank my colleagues as well as city staff for being the foundation for my confidence in that. And then I just want to speak to, we heard from some District 2 members tonight who have very real concerns about the safety on their streets, for how traffic moves through their neighborhood. And I really hope that the city can respond effectively to that. There's some data collection that's related to the Wadsworth project, but we have a lot of District 2 residents that are particularly concerned about cut-through non-localized traffic that's not respecting the speed limit and also not respecting stop signs. So I just really ask that our Public Works Department works with our concerned residents to address their real needs, not just their perceived needs, because perceived concern around traffic safety actually prevents people from feeling comfortable walking through their neighborhoods. Something that makes Wheat Ridge great is that we walk through our neighborhoods so we can say hi to our neighbors. And with that, I don't have a Happiness Gardens update because I'm in Washington, D.C., and Happiness Gardens is not here. So with that, I'm happy to be here, and I wish everybody a happy new year and looking forward to the year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hulteen, and safe travels. Councilor Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm wishing everybody a happy new year, and I'm very glad to be back. It feels like we've been gone a long time, which we kind of have. I just wanted to take a moment to speak about some of the folks that we had in tonight, speaking about some of the current things going on here in our community. First, I wanted to mention I appreciate that I had several residents reach out to me to share their thoughts and feelings about the town hall, the quote-unquote town hall that happened at the rec center regarding the migrant population and the hotel. It's a Super 8 hotel. So I want to say thank you to the folks that reached out to me and expressing their concern on some of the comments that were made at that meeting. And I just wanted to add my little bit here. One of the reasons that I decided to run, and one of the platforms that I chose to run for city council on is safety. And safety means a lot of things. Safety is multifaceted. And I, attribute, when we think about safety, we think about things like speeding, which comes up a lot, and I'm glad we're talking about it. Getting to school, getting to work safely if you're not in a car, making sure we're following and not driving over the speed limit. But safety also to me, and something that's very important to me, is that all residents and all folks in our community feel safe, and safe just existing. And when we have some inflammatory comments that come out from a meeting like that happened last week, I don't feel like everyone felt safe. And it's important to me that folks feel protected, folks feel supported. And that's something that I want to try to work toward, and I'm very heartened by the comments that were shared here tonight. And just in closing, I will share, just with this situation as we move through it, as we see what happens with this, and if nothing happens with it, we still definitely have work to do. But I encourage everyone to please listen and lead with compassion, and always choose kindness for dealings with this, because we all are part of Wheat Ridge and we're living here together. The other thing that I would kind of tie to this that I would encourage folks to look into is our IDEA committee. Applications are closing soon on the 14th. And that is something that I feel strongly about. I was on the Race and Equity Task Force, and the one thing that came out of that task force was the creation of the IDEA committee. And so it's important that we have folks in our community that are passionate and that want to continue the work, because as we've seen and as we'll see, there is more work to do. So thank you and Happy New Year again.
Thank you, Councilor Snell. Councilor Dozman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. It's crazy that we're already in 2024. I did attend the emergency town hall that was held at the Wheat Ridge Recreation Center, and I really appreciate residents and community members coming to voice their concerns. And I do also want to thank staff for briefing us on the issue and advocating for our community. I think, and for Adam Paul coming to speak and kind of give a little bit more background information. And I think it really speaks to an issue, a systemic issue of ineffective policies and leadership at the federal level that has really trickled down. And we don't have an effective system in place to address this issue. And I, having lived in this area my entire life, and having gone to Pennington and having a current student at Peak Expeditionary, I was very concerned at the idea of adult single males to the tune of hundreds of people potentially being in that area. And we had a gentleman speak this evening who experienced firsthand what the worst case scenario could potentially be. And I appreciated staff addressing those concerns and trying to mitigate the impact on our small community. And if we were to welcome these people into our community, what that would look like, and ensuring that a partnership could be had with our neighboring Denver. And so I thank everyone who spoke tonight, and I understand the sentiments on both sides. It takes a lot for people to come to these meetings and speak and get up there and voice their concerns and their opinions. And so I appreciate that we have that platform and that capability in our democratic society. And I think a lot of what these folks are pursuing and coming to America is what we have to offer, and the opportunities to better their lives, and the constitutional republic and democracy that we have instilled in this part of the world. And so I just really appreciate all the way around the colleagues, the dialogue, and the open accessibility to staff and answering questions and addressing concerns. And since, on a lighter note, since we are not going to be here next week, the Wheat Ridge Grange is having their 7th annual chili cook-off from 5:30 to 7 p.m. On Thursday, January 18th. That's 3850 High Court. I've had the opportunity to go several years, and we have amazing community members that are really good cooks. You can choose from green or red chili and choose your favorite. So definitely hop on by and give a donation to the Grange. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dozman. Councilor Larson.
Thank you, Mayor, and I would also like to wish everybody a happy and prosperous new year. I have a feeling that 2024 is going to be an interesting year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rome.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank definitely Adam Paul for coming to our city, our Denver neighbor, and taking the time to explain to everybody, what that process is, and city staff. They gave us, a heads up on the process of what was going to happen and the current status of everything. I really appreciate that. I know a lot of people are fearful, have concerns. I wasn't at the meeting, but I did get some emails. I've had some conversations with people about what the current state is, and I'm hopeful that our, our government will, look at our, low unemployment rate, our incredible need for housing, and try to work for some solutions that, how can we, move forward to, help people out and create more affordable housing. And just want to thank staff for all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Weaver.
First of all, it is day 3 of the best 16 days in January, so if you haven't been to the stock show yet, please get out there. The free day is on next Monday, which is an amazing day to be there on Martin Luther King Day. So please come out. I'll be there every day, starting tomorrow, so please let me know if you're at the stock show. I'm a volunteer and would love to come out and say hello and invite Wheat Ridge. I did want to say a few things about just all of the, I just want to thank everybody for speaking tonight, and I want to thank my colleagues for saying such thoughtful things. I know that we've all been thinking about this, the issue, and I hesitate to call it an issue because it's something that's existed for a long time. And some of you, maybe a lot of you don't know this about me, but I've lived in several of these countries that people are fleeing right now. And so in my perspective, it's one of the reasons that I participate in this process up here, and I hold close this giant privilege that I got simply because I happen to be born in this country. And so in that way, I think about this incredible gift that a lot of us were given, and there are others around the country, or excuse me, around the world who are trying to get there. And so I've been asked a lot of times in the last couple days, well, what am I going to do? How do I feel about this? And I just wanted to respond to that sort of publicly because I won't support criminalizing people who want to come to this country. Having lived under tyrants and dictators, quite honestly, we still live in the greatest country in the world. And it's an amazing place that people want to come to. And regardless of what you feel, to what the point of my colleagues said, this is a national issue, and I encourage you all to learn more about this very, very complex issue that's happening at the federal level and then playing out in the state level. And the second part is that I also have a lot of faith, and that's what I really appreciated about what I heard from community members tonight, is that we do, I feel like I have a pretty good rapport with my buddies up here, and we find some really great solutions with your all help. As far as being an open and welcoming community, and also addressing those issues of safety and fear. Those are very, very real for everyone. And I'm just echoing what I think everyone has said tonight, that our discussion and our disagreement, it's what I most appreciate about this community, is that that's the thing that I experienced in living in some of these other countries, is that there isn't that public debate. There isn't that ability to disagree with people in a respectful way. And I just really appreciate Wheat Ridge for the fact that we get in there and we talk about it, and we come from many sides and try and solve these issues. So I just really want to thank everybody. When I say everyone, for expressing all of the opinions that have come out in the last 2 weeks. So, thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Hoppy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I just want to say thank you to to Judge Randall for Judge Randall Day. I'm excited to have that in our community. I also wanted to say just a few words about the possibility of housing migrants in our community. These are people. They're people. They're not a commodity. And I think that we should keep that in mind. These are humans, and humans that are living in 27-degree weather with no shoes, without weather-appropriate clothing, without blankets, bedding, a tent if they're lucky. And this issue is going to require teamwork. This is not a Denver issue. It's not Denver's passing this off on us just because the buses happen to stop in Denver. Those charter buses could be chartered straight to 38th Avenue in Wadsworth. They just happen to be going to Denver, right? And so this is an issue that we need to regionally approach with teamwork. And then I'm going to kind of take a different approach and just say, the Super 8 is a private property with private property rights that operates in our community under the codes, the laws, and the restrictions and the licensing restrictions that it is allowed to operate underneath. And on top of that, as a hotel, it has a hotel, motel, and additional licensing with additional things, like additional rules and regulations that they have to comply to. So this is not like we're moving a bunch of people into an empty warehouse, right? There are codes and laws and rules that have to be followed. And if the private property owner who is doing business in our community chooses to do business as that, then we should support them in that. Last thing I wanted to say is Happy New Year's. And while we're talking about chili cook-offs, there's January 17th at the Wheat Ridge High School. If you would like to go and support their PTSA, are doing it's chili, soup, and cookies contest. And it's during the basketball games against Golden. Go Farmers. And if you ever go to a game, for one of our youth sports games, go to one of the Wheat Ridge Golden games. Those are the games to be at. So it's a $5 suggested donation. It's in the cafeteria from 5:30 to 7:30, and then you can go and enjoy some basketball.
Thank you, Counselor. Mayor Pro Tem Stites.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything that Councilor Hoppy just said, including about the chili cook-off. And I believe that's the 17th, and then the Grange one is the 18th, so you should go to both, and then nobody's going to want to be around you for a couple days. But it'll be a lot of fun. Definitely go. I want to read one of the Facebook posts from somebody who was at the meeting the other night. At least 200 people and 3 local TV news crews in attendance tonight at Citizens Town Hall about potential migrant influx from Denver. If anyone was there to support, they knew better than to take the podium. Not no, but hell no. That's not democracy. That's mob rule. So I agree with Councilor Snell, Councilor Hulteen, Councilor Hoppy. I think that we need to make sure that we're showing compassion and understanding when it comes to this and not be playing politics with people's lives. And that's what we're seeing on a national level and state to state and frankly, whatever that was last week. There's a real crisis going on. These are real people. These are real people out there freezing, real people that were moved from a camp that just burned down. There's a lot going on there. When I look back at history, many of you know I have a history degree. I don't want to be one of those people barring the door for the black kids trying to get into the university. I don't want to be one of the people that ran Ellis Island and watched people die. So I think that's something very important that we need to think about, that there needs to be real solutions, and your political ideology at some point has to give way to real people need real help. They're fleeing a country because, why? You'll be murdered by being there? No jobs? They're coming here because we're a beacon of hope to the world. Let's be that. That doesn't mean we need to open every door and allow everybody to live in our living room, but what that does mean is that we need to take a leadership position, and that's what we are here to do. So I would just call on the citizens, you can be a little bit nervous, you can not want to take on somebody else's issues, but we do need to look at this in a larger context, not just Wheat Ridge, because I gotta tell you, if Denver fails, all the businesses leave Denver, that doesn't leave Wheat Ridge in a very good position, okay? So it's really important that we look at that on a much broader scale. We don't do background checks for the people who live in any of the hotels, whether they're white, Venezuelan, doesn't matter. We don't background check people who come and go in hotels. So why would we do that now? The Super 8 is a private business, so for the people who don't want socialism, communism, whatever, why would the government then step in and stop a private business from doing what a private business is intended to do? So I think that's very important that we look at that. I was disappointed in the way the meeting went the other night. I know I wasn't there, but just reading things like that, reading the rhetoric that it took to get people there, the fact that there was a group of people using my name in emails out to the people in Wheat Ridge, I have some real issue with that. I think that I was elected to represent my district and the people of Wheat Ridge, and I want no part of that. Whether you're a business owner in Wheat Ridge or another city, you know, stay out of our city. If you don't like what's going on here, don't come here. But we're doing our best to make sure that Wheat Ridge is a great place to live for the people who do live here, and that doesn't mean shutting the doors to other people coming here. We are, as Councilor Holteen said a few times tonight, we're a nimble city, and we'll figure it out either way. So I guess that's my take on that. I was disappointed in what I guess I thought was my community, but thankfully most of those people don't live here. And again, I'll say that was the same thing with the calls that came in a few months ago. Most of those people did not live here. So I hope that the rest of the Denver metro area and the nation at large looks at Wheat Ridge and knows that we seem to have a lot of people very interested in what's going on here, but the citizens who live here, we're doing our best to make sure that this is a great place to live. So I appreciate that. Saturday was my son's 7th birthday. The first thing he wanted to do was go get waffles over at Stylus and Crate. So big shout out to Tad and everybody over there. They do a phenomenal job. I enjoy taking all my meetings there as much as possible. So shout out to that awesome Wheat Ridge business, and thank you for being leaders in our community and doing things the right way. So if you can find it and buy it at Wheat Ridge at one of those great stores. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to take just a moment to congratulate and thank Judge Randall and sort of recognize Judge Randall Day in the city of Wheat Ridge for the next couple of hours. But I wanted to tell the judge, if he's listening, we're going to, because we got to this sort of late in the evening, we're going to extend it on till tomorrow night till about 7 o'clock. So we'll do that. But Judge Randall's really been a great asset to our community, providing really a compassionate and thoughtful justice. He was very creative in crafting sentencing and in trying to help people that came into his department understand why they were there and what they needed to do in order to be able to not be there again and again. And I think that's really admirable, and I think he's done a great job. I want to welcome Judge Paul Basso, who we've appointed to take his place. I wish him a lot of good luck and hope that he will be successful in this venture also. I want to thank the citizens that came tonight, both online and in person, to speak to us. Our city council has not always and does not by ordinance or charter need to take public comment. We don't have to do that. We could do this without hearing from our public, but on the councils that I've been involved with over the last 10 years, we've moved progressively to be more transparent, to be more open, to be more available to our citizens to come and talk with us. And I think the takeaway is that is that we make better decisions when we listen to our citizens and when we work together to craft policy. These are not easy conversations that we have, and the ability for us to work together is something that makes us incredibly strong and incredibly stronger. So I want to thank our council, our city staff, and most particularly our citizens and residents that live in Wheat Ridge, because we have a strong community, and I hope that we are dedicated to maintaining that strength. And as we understood when we had a bunch of anti-Semitic comments in this council chamber coming in online, that we are going to respect the First Amendment and the Constitution. We all swore to uphold the Constitution. We're going to do that, and we're going to balance that with the needs of our city to conduct its business, keep its citizens safe and secure. So that's what we're charged to do, and we intend to do that. And we do that with you, with all of our citizens together. Saturday's another second Saturday. Can you believe it already? It's the second Saturday in the new year, and I'm hosting a coffee at Vinola's Italian Restaurant on 38th Avenue at 9 o'clock on Saturday. So if you're able to come and want to come by and have a cup of coffee, and we get some little goodies to snack on, I'd love to have you there. We've also on Friday, I'm going to be cutting the ribbon on First Watch, a great new restaurant coming in at the old Chili's in Wheat Ridge over in Youngfield Street. I had breakfast there this morning, first rate, very nice place. I think it's going to be very successful. I hope you all will support that restaurant and all the restaurants in Wheat Ridge. Let me make a plug in for there. It is the new year. Happy New Year to everyone. We have children that I think have gone back to school this week, but they're out and about and are adjacent to our streets and playing and entertaining themselves and becoming great citizens. Please drive safely and slowly through our city. We will not be here next week, but we'll be here the following week, and I hope you'll all join us at that point. So if there's no more business to come before our council, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.